Okay, thank you. Good evening. I'm going to call this regular meeting of the Board of Education to order and invite everyone to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we get started, I just wanted to say a very warm welcome back to school to our students and our teachers and our staff and our administrators. And by all accounts, it's been a pretty excellent start. And I know we're going to hear lots about it tonight. I also wanted to just formally announce, as I'm sure we are all aware, that Angela Hammond, who has not been with us since March, has officially resigned as of the beginning of this month. As of, I believe it was August 14th. So per our board bylaws, this is the formal announcement. And at our next meeting, we will be tasked with taking action on filling a vacancy. The Republican Town Committee has put forward a candidate, Karen Renner, and Dr. Britton has been kind enough to provide her resume. So we should all have that before our consideration and deliberation at our next meeting. All of that said, I am looking for a motion to approve the agenda. Oh, and sorry, before that, I do have one modification to make under 9 new business. I'd like to add an item C. This is approval of an out-of-state field trip for the Portland High School Band. This is their annual trip to the Big E. So I would, if you don't mind, ask for that amendment to the agenda, and if there's a motion to approve the amended agenda.
So moved, and it's amended with item 9, the field trip to the Big E.
Okay, thank you, Meg.
Scatta.
I'll second.
Seconded by Kim. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Under approval of consent agenda, this is includes the approval of our August 19th, 2025 Board of Ed special meeting minutes, as well as approval of an out-of-state field trip for Portland High School DECA to Arlington, Virginia in November. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved, Meg Scatta.
Thank you, Meg. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Dave. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Audience of citizens. Do we have anyone with us in person this evening who wishes to address the board at this time? Oh, Karen, if you have anything you wanted to say, you're welcome to join us at the podium. Okay. Is there anyone online who wishes to address the board? Amanda, we see you, but we can't hear you quite yet, and they're working on unmuting you, so just hold on one second.
I just wanted to come on here and say hello. This is Amanda Bertrand. I'm just taking notes for the union.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks for letting us know.
Amanda,
we see you, but we can't hear you quite yet, and they're working on unmuting you, so just hold on one second. That's a funny echo, huh?
I just wanted to come on here and say hello.
This evening seems to be all about the technical difficulties. Sorry about that, Amanda. Glad you're here. Welcome. Did you have anything else you wanted to say?
Can she repeat the reason why she's here to take notes? I wasn't clear. She cut out.
Okay, I'm not sure if anyone can hear me. I just messaged in the chat.
We can hear you now.
I cannot hear anything right now.
Amanda, we can hear you now. Go ahead if you'd like to introduce yourself again. Thanks. She can't hear us.
No,
Okay.
she looks like she's muted again too on the screen.
Yes. Did you see if Meg can hear us?
Meg, can you hear us?
I can hear perfectly.
Great. That's good. Amanda, are you
And I
able to
could hear Amanda, but then something happened where she was muted again.
Well, maybe just type in the report.
Oh, she's got the live stream. She's not on the live feed.
We're going to try, Amanda, hang on. We're going to try one more time so that we can hear you. She can't hear us.
Okay,
No.
so I have the live stream pulled up on my
She looks like
phone.
she's muted again
Oh,
too on the screen.
Can you mute the live stream maybe on your phone and then maybe we'll be able to.
Hi, I am so sorry.
Meg, can you hear us?
I can hear you perfectly.
That's good. Amanda, are you?
And I could hear Amanda, but then something happened where she was muted again.
Okay.
So I have the live stream pulled up on my phone so I can
She's
hear
got the
you,
live stream.
but I can't hear through the computer on the actual Zoom call. So the audio I'm hearing is delayed from the conversation that's happening. I apologize. I'm just here to take some notes from CEA. They were looking for a representative to come to each meeting, so I'll be coming to half of the meetings, and somebody else from CEA will be coming to take notes as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Amanda. We're glad you're here. All right. Was there any other public comment? No. Okay. We're gonna move on then. And I'm excited for our Portland Public Schools Spotlight because we have some really exciting things to feature. And I had a preview of these because I got to attend convocation. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Britton, who's going to share some really fun things.
Yeah, this is a great way to start the year. I want to start by introducing our para-educator of the year and our teacher of the year. And before I do that, I spoke with Chuck. Chuck, come on up, because I also want to give Chuck a shout out. He did a great job last year. After Eric had left, I tapped Chuck on the shoulder and said, Chuck, would you help us out with the selection process, the nomination and selection process for both para-educator and teacher of the year, which involved nominations from all kinds of different people in a very deliberative process. So Chuck, I thought maybe we just cue this up for us, talk a little bit about the process we used and how it led to the selection of the two folks I'm going to introduce tonight.
Absolutely. So we used, met with the committee, which includes our past winners, as well as from the formation of the committee about 2.5 years ago, we included previous educators of the year from other districts as we were trying to learn how to implement this process or re-implement this process back here at Portland. And then a year later, we added Para-Educator of the Year award to, and which was named in its first year as the Mandy Peck Para-Educator of the Year award. So we worked with representatives from the union, along with that committee for both the paraeducator unit and the educator associate CEA, to kind of follow through with a process that included sending out surveys to parents, to students, to the community at large through both digital means as well as through the newspaper as well. After sending out those surveys, committee then reconvened, analyzed each of the components, assessed how many nominations people had, and then went through. There were a number of questions the committee had developed, including talking about the qualities that made that educator or paraeducator stand out as a shining star within the district. And we saw a number of nominations from both, clearly some from the students' perspective, some from parents' perspectives, some from colleagues. And that wide range of nominations, we looked at kind of how wide was the scope of nominations and making the determination. Was it just teachers on one team, or did they have kind of a comprehensive number of individuals putting that nomination together? As a committee, we used that process to narrow it down to just a few, and then as a committee, we deliberated around those qualities. We landed on two fantastic candidates that I'll let Dr. Britton kind of talk further about. And then we really tried to, and I'll credit Patricia Dean for kind of coming up with the idea of finding some physical awards that we really wanted to make sure we were doing the most we could to recognize this year that we hope to continue to give out in the future. And to kind of widen that celebration. Going forward, we're looking to kind of expanding the selection and kind of determine how we determine it. This year it was pretty truncated in a month and a half period because that's how long I kind of came onto it to do. We all committed to meeting in January of this year to take a little bit of a longer process this year from the nomination part to the eventual winner.
Well, Chuck, my feedback for you in the committee is whatever you did, it worked. The process, I think, yielded two outstanding individuals. So let me start with Mallory. Mallory, come on up to the point. I'm going to embarrass you again, right? So I want to tell you, for Laurel, you were there, so you had the experience. I want to let you know how I introduced Mallory. Right. So what I did is I challenged the audience. I said, I'm gonna tell you some things about this person, and if you can guess who it is, give a shout out of their name, and we'll see how far into this list we get. So when I introduced Mallory, I started with, and I'd spoken with Mallory, she'd helped me learn these things about her. But the first thing about this individual that I prompted folks was, this person's favorite musician is James Taylor. We didn't get any responses from that one, did we? The second one was, this person's favorite place to vacation is Cape Cod. Didn't get anything out of that one. Next one I had is, this person's favorite dessert is tiramisu. I don't think we got anyone on that
I
one.
think maybe one, but not.
Yeah, no, nobody called out there.
But we want to be pretty proud.
Right, okay, so you might have started to figure it out. Okay. The next one then is, this person went on their honeymoon in Italy. And that's where I think that we got to, right? I think that that's when folks recognize. But the other ones I had after that were, this person was married during their first year in Portland, and their husband is here. Thank you for coming, and thank you for letting us borrow your wife every day. She's fabulous. Their dog's name is Dahlia.
Dahlia.
Dahlia. Flower, right, of
Yeah,
course.
you got it.
Person works at Valley View. Last year, this person worked in first grade. This year, they're in kindergarten. Aren't we lucky? And then, of course, this person's maiden name is Peruccio. And I'm very happy to introduce, this is Mallory Rowley, who's our paraprofessional at Valley View. She's wonderful in every way. We are so blessed to have her. I never see her not smiling. Like, I swear, never, right? You are the perfect breath of fresh air that blows through Valley View every day. Congratulations.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much for being with us. Don't ever go anywhere. So happy to have you. And you are our parent of the year. So do you want to say a few
No,
things?
I
We'd
just
love
want
to
to,
hear.
I'll just say, I wanted to say thank you again, and thank you so much for the parent support, my colleagues' support, everyone. It wouldn't have been possible without them. And I have such a great crew over at Valley View, and I just look forward every day to coming to work to help those children and in any little way I can. And I know in the end, it's not, to them, it's not little, it's a really big deal. So I love it there, and I thank you again. Thank you so much.
You guys have any questions for Mallory?
Was this a surprise, or were you expecting it?
I was not expecting, I knew that some about people who had asked, or not, like said, oh, you should do it. But I didn't know, I didn't know anything until June 12th, I think it was. And then I had to keep it a secret. So, but I was not expecting it, but I was very, very happy. But thank you.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mallory.
It's becoming one of my favorite things to do in June, and I'm so glad we brought this back to tell folks that they received this award. It's outstanding. Now, for our educator of the year, this will be no surprise. Dylan Bernard, where are you? I'm gonna embarrass you again. I look at Dylan, and when I heard that he was going to be our teacher of the year, I think my reaction to Chuck was, clearly, right? I mean, like as close to a no-brainer as there possibly could, but I'll introduce you the same way, Dylan. So, I introduced Dylan as, this teacher has a cat.
Didn't get any
What do you
bites
got
on
now?
that one, no.
This teacher used to play the violin.
Really?
That was interesting. I don't think we got any bites on that one either. This is the one where actually I heard the shout out. It was, this individual is highly skilled with Legos. Somehow your colleagues knew that, right? That's where we got it. But the other ones were like the next one here, this was going to be the dead giveaway. It was, well, no, I'm sorry. This person, not that, the one after this one. This person was president of their student government during their senior year, right? This next one was the giveaway. This person owns multiple capes. Right? Now, if you know anything about Dylan, clearly that's it. I think I see Dylan at least 4 or 5 times a year wearing capes of different colors. It's amazing. And then, of course, this individual, which I think is so neat, in addition to being an outstanding teacher and doing just about everything, couldn't be more impressed with the quality of the yearbooks that are published. And the clue was the multiple and almost, it seems like, yearly awards that we're getting for the yearbook that he and his advisory board and students put together. It's remarkable. Dylan, I'm so glad you're here. You're fabulous. Thank you for everything you do, and congratulations.
Thank you. So I think, and I mentioned this during convocation, but today is actually the day that one of my cousins is retired officially and whatnot. And one of the things that I'll remember that she told me this summer was, like, if I ever decided to leave, even if like half of what I've told her is true, like, let her know, and she'd do everything in her power to like talk me out of it.
Well, good. I'm on her side. I'll do the same.
I think
You're
we
gonna
all
get it on
are.
both- in both
To say we
ears.
all are.
Yeah.
And
I want to
Dylan,
hear
and
you play the violin though, when you get a chance. No,
That was like 4th and 5th grade, and I have no memory of how to do it.
the Suzuki method, is that what it's like? But I am looking forward to Dylan and I this October. We get to go to the Bushnell in Hartford, where all of the teachers of the year get together, and we go on stage and meet the commissioner, and often the governor that is there, and he'll receive his plaque and recognition. It's a great event, and that's also where we'll learn who the state teacher of the year is. So congratulations, Dylan, and I look forward to celebrating with you at the Bushnell in a few weeks.
I think December.
Oh, is it December?
Yeah, it's like first week.
That was earlier.
it
Okay.
is. Yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Dylan.
All right. So the next one we have, I'll give Dylan a minute to cue this one up, but we also recognize at convocation the teachers for their years of service. And I did include all of those. Oh, wait, and where are they? In our board folder there. Oh, is it in the report? Yeah, can we have it quick?
Yep, hold on. I was able to get on my hotspot, even though I couldn't get on the Wi-Fi.
Thank you. So I would love to just, recognize one more time, for 10 years of service, we had this year, Kate Lawson, Kelsey Constantino, Catherine Hunter, Peggy Gross, Dave Pearson, and Lindsay Kazicki. 15 years of service, we had Eileen Moynihan. 20 years, Jen Estes, excuse me, Michael Carpio, Justin Gervais. 25 years, we had David Krasuski, Alan Steckloff, Corinne Scrivano, and Holly Rousseau. This gets amazing. 30 years of experience, Tracy Graff. 35 years of experience, Russ Woodward and Colleen Braid. And this blew my mind. 45 years of experience.
In Portland.
In Portland.
Wow.
Sal Formica. So congratulations to all of them. And Sal, it's incredible. I mean, he started here when I was 8 years old. I don't quite know how to fathom that, except thank him for his service. And I love that we recognize those years of service. And then, of course, our yearly, I guess, hazing activity a little bit.
You can't call it.
I can't call it.
It is not that. It is a celebration activity. It's what it is.
Okay. But we do have an anti-hazing policy. Our celebration activity, we
There we
have our new teachers every year. put together a new video. And the neat thing is like, I have to do this sometime. I have to make a montage of them because I still think the year I was here and we did the video and it was the eclipse and we had the horoscope. I still think that was the best one, but this one right here was also pretty good. I don't know, right? The Jeopardy one was really good too. So at some point, maybe we're gonna have to like play them all and have some kind of contest for them. But this is a really clever idea that we do as part of new teacher orientation. Whoever came up with it before I got here. I thought it was neat. Done it every year since I've been here. And it's a great way to introduce our new teachers. So I'm gonna get out of the way. If you wanna play that video.
These are the newest hires at Portland Public Schools. Their first assignment, not lesson planning, but starring in this video. One teacher is heading to Valley View, where every day brings a new discovery. And maybe a little glitter. 3 teachers are going to Gildersleeve, where curiosity is high, brains are growing fast, and keeping up with them is basically a full-time sport. And this teacher has the rare honor of splitting time between Brownstone and Gildersleeve. Double the classrooms, double the fun. These brave souls are headed to Portland Middle School, where curiosity is high, challenges are bigger, and the energy never stops. And these new teachers are joining Portland High School, where the essays are long, the coffee is strong, and yes, TikTok slang is officially part of the curriculum. Please welcome the newest hires. And yes, they've already been roped into a TikTok trend. Please enjoy.
I'm Andy, and I'm passing the phone to someone who loves speaking in different accents and making up silly words.
Hello, my name is Melanie, and I'm passing the phone to someone whose blood type is probably cold brew.
Hi, I'm Anna, and I'm passing the phone to someone who probably lost her phone 3 times already today.
I'm Maggie, and I'm passing the phone to someone who's a huge Marbles fan and whose favorite character is the Hulk.
My name is Carmen, and I'm passing the phone to a bird watcher.
My name is Evan, and I'm passing the phone to someone who apologized for what she said while docking her boat.
My name is Liz. I'm passing the phone to someone who decorated his classroom with one inspirational quote and a clock.
I'm Josh, and I'm passing the phone to a teacher who runs on too much coffee and chocolate.
I'm Sarah, and I'm passing the phone to someone who needs a crispy Diet Coke to get through a mental breakdown.
Hi, my name's Amber, and I'm passing the phone to a teacher who prefers sitting on the floor over sitting at her desk.
My name is Juliana, and I'm passing the phone to someone who loves art and playing Pokemon Go.
And I'm passing the phone to the new hires of Portland Public Schools.
I'm always so impressed. They come up with that in like one day, right? And I know Dylan, certainly you helped them, are instrumental as part of the orientation, putting that together. But welcome to our new teachers. I've been around to visit them a week. They're already settled in and doing great. And I'm very happy that they're here. For your information, I included the CVs and all the background of these individuals. Please take a look. Like this is a really, really impressive group of individuals. And I think our hiring processes are very strong. We're picking great people. I'm also happy to say that, you know, I'll reflect a little bit more about this, is our efforts to recruit and retain teachers appear to be working, right? That we're doing a really nice job with some of our retention, and our ability to attract and select some really high quality folks, I think, is evidenced here. And if you have a chance to take a look through some of these backgrounds, this is a really skilled group of people, and I'm delighted to have them in front of our students and welcome them here.
Excellent. Welcome to all of our new teachers.
Agreed. It was good video, by the way.
It was a great video.
Very professional looking. The quality has gotten better each year. Not that the themes aren't fun, but this was really a good, well put together video.
I agree. And concise. I appreciate that.
The only thing that struck me on the bus trip with all the new teachers was that they're probably of the age that I could be their grandmother. They're all very young, and they joined an elite group of teachers at Portland schools for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a really fun Portland Schools Spotlight, and it's wonderful to start a new school year that way. We are going to move on. Just Mallory, so you know, you're welcome to stay, but don't feel like you're obligated to stay if you have other things going on. Didn't want you to feel pressured, though we love having you here. All right, so we're going to move on to our student representative report, and we're delighted to welcome back Liam for another year as one of our student representatives. So I'm going to hand the mic over to you, and know that our second student representative will be joining us at our next meeting.
Yeah, her name is Anna. I'll introduce her today. Tonight she couldn't be here. Very important night, driver's license test. So it's a big deal, right? But Anna will be here on the 16th. We'll introduce her.
We'll look forward to that. But meanwhile, Liam, we're thrilled you're here. We missed you over the summer.
Yeah. This is gonna be my third year, I think. So
yeah.
Done quite a few of these. Yeah, so today was my first day back. But so I didn't have enough time to gather a full report, but I can go with what I know.
Sure.
As you can imagine, things are in full swing here at the high school. We've got a spirit week this week ending in a pep rally. We have our newly annual homecoming coming at 27th, I believe. And we have senior nights starting up. I believe cross countries is next week. And yeah, sports, they're starting up. A lot of summer practices, to my knowledge, occurred. And there looks like we're going to start with a lot of strong seasons. And sorry, I'm kind of off the cuff here, but
yeah, that's all right.
So Liam, I can help you a little bit. Tell me about the t-shirts that all the teachers were wearing on the first couple of days of school, and they may be wearing them again this week.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't in the first 2 days, so I missed that, unfortunately.
Okay.
I think Dr. Horton's going to have an update for you, Meg.
Okay. And then Liam, would you be so kind as to tell us what you did this summer? Because you had a pretty amazing summer, and it kind of ties into what you're doing as a student rep on our board meetings. So do you want to just give us a little brief synopsis of, please?
I can do that.
Good.
To kick off my summer, I had about 2 weeks of rest, and then I was representing our lovely town here. I had the distinct honor of being one of the 2 delegates to Boys State, which is run by the American Legion, and you basically simulate state government. So that already definitely strengthened my speaking ability, and it was a great opportunity. Then after that, rolled right into an internship with the town hall under Mr. Pelton, where I sat in on a few meetings, gave a bit of feedback, and actually got to speak to a lot of the different people who make a lot of these decisions for our town. And that was really interesting. And then this past week, I got a nice little break in the form of a trip over to Ireland, which was rolled over to from the internship.
Nice.
And now I'm back here.
Awesome. Well, welcome home.
Welcome.
Sounds like the internship opportunity was really pretty
yeah.
cool. I'm glad that you were able to have that experience.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you for sharing that. I know you were busy, busy, busy this summer, but it all ties in with your student representation on the board, and it makes you more informed as a soon-to-be voter and citizen and all that fun stuff. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions for Liam?
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yep, welcome back. We're glad you're back. All right, we're gonna move on to communications and updates. We'll go to Dr. Britton first.
Okay, I have a few things. Let me just start by reflecting on. I spent some time over the Labor Day weekend, kind of pinching myself. It was such a smooth start. Like, what a great start. Now, I was thinking, what made this year different? Why did it feel so good this year? And then I think back, if I remember my first year as your superintendent, we were opening with, oh my goodness, hybrid models and AB cohorts and a PVLA and, on Zoom, hey, listen to this, you're muted, kind of getting hives and flashbacks from all of that when we did the first year. And even the second year I was here, it was still mask policies and, lingering concerns. Those were not normal days, right? So that, now, starting my 6th year here, it was such an incredibly smooth start. And I've got to say I've figured out the reason. This is what happens when you retain high quality people who are now veterans, right? That the leadership team is not brand new. Even our new principals have been here, teachers here for a long time and know what it takes. And that we have Bob and that we have people like Dylan who know what to do. We have such a strong group of leaders here and such a strong group of teachers and people in positions that we've been able to retain. And now they're doing this job multiple years in a row. It almost makes my job easy, right? It's like I'm more just helping troubleshoot and not having to teach someone the ropes or bring them along. It really does, I think, speak to the value in the investment and the payoff that we're getting through our contract negotiations, through our efforts to recruit and retain the right people. So I couldn't be more proud of the entire team. Top to bottom, the buildings were beautiful. They were ready to go. Everything was organized. We hit the ground running as smoothly as possible. It really felt as smooth on day one as it did on day 182 or 181 last year, with one exception. All right, so the only hiccup we had was bus route 7 was very late, almost an hour late. Day 1 was about 20 minutes late. Day 2, today, perfectly on time. So thank you, Nancy and M&J for, the problem with it was that bus is shared with Vinyl and there were issues at the Vinyl end, which really jammed us up. So Nancy, to her credit, jumped right on it, got in touch with Vinyl, let them know, put her finger up, said that cannot happen. Your systems and the way you're dismissing your students there are going to affect us. Those interventions appear to have worked. We've ironed that out at Vinyl. And today our bus is cleared at 4:03, which is exactly the time they're supposed to. So everything went great. And even that one little hiccup, we were able to work out in less than 3 days. And I really appreciate everybody in the community for understanding that. I didn't get one angry phone call. Right. I think it's a function of everybody recognizing that, hey, give us a little grace. It's the first day. We're working out the kinks. Second day, we had it a lot better and we've got it now. So, I appreciate everybody's grace as we got that issue worked out. But hey, grand scheme of things, if it's one bus run in all of the myriad things that could go sideways when it comes to opening a school district, I'll take it. It was a great start, and I'm very pleased with the way everybody worked. And that's not me, that's the team. It's everybody in the right positions doing the right thing and knowing what needs to be done to get the school year started, including Stephanie and everybody else. You'll hear about that tonight. I know she works very hard over the summer, and it was fabulous in every way. So great start. I'm very pleased with how things are going, with the exception of that one bus roll. Meg, did you say? I thought I heard Meg say something.
No.
Okay.
Okay, couple other ones. So in your folder tonight, we did have 2 relatively late resignations. I'm sorry to say, Alexia Weir, our special education teacher at Gildersleeve, took a position as a regular education teacher. I think it's Columbia that she's going to. as part of the process, teachers who are hired in August, we have the ability to retain her for up to 30 days. I have done that. So she's still with us to start the year. We're actually interviewing tomorrow. We have some I think some pretty good candidates. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to fill that position and release actually before the 30 days. But that depends on how fast, if we hire someone, they can give notice and that type of thing. And of course, we have to do reference checks and get all. So we're moving as quickly as possible. Sorry to see Alexi go. I wish her well. I know that moving from special education to regular education was a career goal of hers. I will be having an exit interview with her, but we wish her well. And then we also had a late resignation from James Bolstridge, who's a paraprofessional, went on to become a special education teacher. Wish James well, thank him for our service. He was great. He actually filled in for us as a long-term sub a few times. Great guy. He's going to do fabulous. I'm not sure where he went. I checked that, but I wish him all the best and thank him for his service here. The other thing I have in your folder tonight, really interesting, is the enrollment report. I'm not sure if you got a look at that, right? So we're down, right? We are at 1199 now. We were at 1217 last year. And if you look at that report, you're going to see something really interesting. Look at kindergarten.
Yeah.
Right? 79. I mean, now take you back to last year where we were surprised because we were thinking that last year's kindergarten class was going to be lower because of the changes with the 5-year-old start age, right? So we were worried that this year's kindergarten class, people might have held students back and that this year's class might have popped. I was expecting it to at least be 90, and wouldn't have been surprised if it went up over 100 as students who took the additional year because of the law change decided to wait, but we don't see it. There it is, right? I mean, all of that kind of hand-wringing we were doing about would it create a bubble in this year's kindergarten class did not happen. As a matter of fact, that class is lower. So, if that class had been 90, which is what we had projected was in our demographic report, and what we would normally have seen, that would have been up to the 12, 17. So that difference between the 79 and the 90 are those students. So it's interesting that happened. And I most wanted to point that out to you. So our number right now is 1199.
My recollection from last year is that there were more than a handful of families that sought the waiver for their kindergartners to start with those, the burr babies.
Right.
Wanted to start school as 4-year-olds when they normally would have started before the law changed. Did we, in terms of what we saw this year, in terms of families seeking that waiver, was it a similar number? Was it fewer families?
Similar number.
Similar number.
And everyone that sought the waiver, we did the assessment and they are enrolled.
Okay.
I wonder if these babies were probably conceived in 2020 during COVID. I wonder if the rest of the school districts across the state are also looking at this new kindergarten class in spite of the change in the entry age. Perhaps COVID had something to do with less births. I don't know.
I haven't seen that data about statewide.
No, I haven't either. It just occurred to me that, these kids were born in 2020. So it's possible.
Yeah.
I don't know. We can look at.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
My only comment is, we lose about 20 kids from 8 to 9.
Yep.
And now being in the 50s, are we going to have some kind of a fundamental shift in the high school? I know we're a couple years out, but is it something to think about?
Yeah, we got to watch that. I mean, if you look at, there's a bubble there, right?
In fifth grade
In
too.
fifth grade too, right? Next year at Brownstone, look at what's going to be there, right? And high school, be aware that number is there, that there's a group of a cohort there that you're right, Dave. We need to keep that on our radar.
Yeah.
The other, I guess, a comment that I have is regarding the pre-K enrollment because of the burrs, that now those burrs aren't going to K and they're staying in pre-K for an additional year. Are you seeing increased enrollment in your children with special needs in preschool?
We are. As a matter of fact, you'll hear Sarah will talk about that in her report, but there is a larger cohort there. Yes. Are you seeing it too? Yes. Yeah. Yep. It is there.
you're looking at 3 graduating classes being served under the umbrella of preschool.
That's right.
When you have it set up in this format, so that definitely becomes a challenge, so.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on that.
Yeah, you'll hear Sarah, we've been talking quite a bit about that. And I know that will be a centerpiece of Sarah's report next week or 2
In
weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm glad that Sarah will address that.
And then I just have a couple more facilities related. So these aren't all great, but they're not bad as they could. One is not great. So first, the good news, the boiler is on track, right? Half of the parts are here. We've got them in a warehouse nearby. The other half are in transit. So Bob is keep receiving regular communications. We are on track. That Bob anticipates that we're going to have the rigging set up and that boiler in and ready to go beginning of November. So
Okay.
we were initially worried about the time it takes to order because it's it's not a off the shelf thing. They have to build it. But we're in good shape. Half of the parts are in. The other half are on the way. Bob remains confident that we'll have that boiler, both boilers, going and in by the November before the cold weather. So keep our fingers crossed and keeping a close eye on that. We had a little unpleasant surprise here at the high school. For some reason, our fire suppression system stopped working. The pump wasn't holding pressure or something. It was nerve-wracking because if that doesn't work, there was a concern that you would need to do fire watches or otherwise not be able to open school. Thank goodness we have Bob. He's amazing. He's also well versed in the codes and what we need to do. Was very much on it, got on it very quickly. We have diagnosed the problem. It was a leaky valve. They've repaired it and we're safe. So there was a moment there where my heart was in my throat as I was talking to Bob about it, but we got to go. So thank you, Bob, and that worked. The bad news, the compressor and the condenser and the compressor and the evaporator on the freezer and refrigerator here at the secondary school has failed, right? Not good, right? So what we have now, if you go out back, you'll see a freezer truck. Literally, we brought in a truck because there is lots of food that we need to keep cold in order to serve. So it's in the truck. The compressor and evaporator cannot be repaired. It is kaput. I just signed the PO today, $30,000. We need to get that fixed. We do have that balance in Fund 5 and Fund 11. So and goodness for that and for Stephanie and our team being so on it quickly. We did purchase it. I think you'll see the rigging here tomorrow and it's going to be repaired pretty quickly. But in the meantime, the freezer truck is here, which I thought was a pretty clever workaround. And it's keeping things cold so we don't have a major loss.
How much is that truck?
2 o'clock on a Friday.
Had a long weekend.
Yeah.
Everybody scrambling, trying to put food in different freezers all over the place.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
But to Dave's question, what's the expense associated with a
800.
freezer truck?
Oh,
Oh,
that's awesome.
okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
hopefully they don't have more.
And we anticipate that the new freezer.
Picked it up today, so
Yeah.
we have till next Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah. So moving quick,
I
but again,
also, yeah, go ahead, Charles.
yeah, this is a function of an amazing team that gets on it quickly, starts to think critically and comes up with solutions fast and does this very, very quickly. But you're right, from 2 o'clock on Friday till now, freezer truck delivered here, stuff moved, parts ordered, things will be started this week.
I was going to say, I just love the way everybody comes together and problem solves. And sometimes it's, thinking outside the box, and it just serves the point that we make all the time, that Portland works really well. The schools and the team that is assembled, whether they're in finance or they're in building and grounds or whatever, are coming together to problem solve and keep us up and running. And I think it's amazing. So I can't say enough good things about what happens in Portland.
Yeah.
And Bob was doing it all while he was on vacation.
Oh, my Bob.
That guy's amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
last one then. This is a little bit of a bizarre one, but it happened and I need to let you know about it. So there was an explosion. I don't know if people heard, but they were doing some blasting as part of the Nordic spot. I don't know if you've taken a look at it. It's incredible what they're doing down there. I don't know all the details or how it happened, but a charge went off the wrong way and it went straight up and fired a whole bunch of rocks out towards Waverly and over Main Street. Some of those rocks did land on brownstone. They put some dents in Oak Hill Van and they landed on the roof. Now, Bob has been up on the roof and inspected it. It doesn't appear to be a lot of damage there. There were rocks up there. our only concern is you have the solar panels up there, right? So it does appear that some of the rocks landed on the solar panels. We do
Ouch.
need to have the solar company come in and take a look at that. Bob doesn't feel qualified or that it's
Mm.
safe for him to go crawling around under solar panels where there's electricity, but there may be some cracks in those. Otherwise, that happened. It was very fortunate that it didn't happen when anybody was in Brownstone.
Yeah.
It would have been horrible. But otherwise, you know, that accident doesn't appear to have damaged any of the schools, with the exception of we don't yet know whether there are cracks on the solar panels from the rocks falling.
How quickly will the solar panel, is it the solar panel vendor that will come and inspect it, or is it
Yeah, there's a
Eversource or some
No, it's a
combination?
solar
It's the
panel
solar panel company. How quickly will they come and take a look at that?
So I talked to Bob today. We don't know yet.
Okay.
I think the company's been sold or changed hands or something. So we're trying to get in touch with them to schedule their inspectors to come and look at it.
Okay. But we anticipate that if there are any repairs that need to be made, that potentially the Nordic Spa or the Blasters insurance will cover those repairs.
I expect they would. Yeah, I'm sure they have lots of insurance and,
Yeah.
And
So,
do we have some kind of agreement that this isn't gonna happen again, that, you know, we,
How's it gonna be not?
yeah.
I don't know. That's not exactly my lane, but I would expect that there are police and fire and town officials who are displeased and have sent the right messages to please don't blow us up. I mean,
Right. That's a good idea. That I would put it that way. But I just wonder if there'll be like some kind of notification if they are going to blast or do it on the weekend when
yeah, they
you
have
don't
been.
have
They've
children.
let us know. They've done pre-blast inspections. They've been in our schools, taking pictures of the foundations. You know, they've done all the right things.
Okay,
You know,
good.
this was just Bob explained it to me. If you really want to know, I should have him come explain it. I'll do it wrong, but there was like a pipe and the explosion went down the pipe and they didn't know the pipe was there and it came out the other side. Don't know exactly the physics of it, but it was an accident.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Hope I would expect it doesn't happen again.
I'm sure they'll make it right.
Mhm. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. We will go to Stephanie next, our assistant to the superintendent for business and financial affairs.
So I don't know if anybody cares to hear about how my summer was.
We
How was
do.
your summer, Stephanie?
Very busy.
Yep.
You know, I was closing out the previous year and opening up the new year. You know, all the secretaries leave at the end of the school year, so, you know, put through all the orders that come through, get them to where they need to go. Very, very busy time for us with all the new hires coming in, resignations. We actually said, surprisingly, usually when I go on vacation, I come back and there's multiple resignations, and I came back this year and there wasn't any.
Yeah.
So that was good.
That's good.
But yeah, I mean, we've been very busy. I just submitted my state report today at 4:45 p.m. So that's why I didn't have the quarter report ready for this meeting, but I'll do it at the next one, just because I've been busy doing that and a bunch of entries I had to do to move some stuff around. To Charles's point with the freezer, another piece that I do at the end of the school year is the lunch fund, the reconciliation of the lunch fund that I have to give the state. And the rule of the state is you can't have in your general fund of your lunch fund more than 3 months of operating expenses. I don't know the reason why. They just don't want you to carry that much balance in there. So if you are over, then you have to set a plan in place as to how you're going to spend that money, you know, within, I think they give you like 3 months.
We're buying a freezer.
The whole freezer breaks down. So there's the allowable expenses and I'm like, oh, is this a repair? Is this the actual, so it was very gray area. So I ended up just calling the state on Friday. I'm like, listen, this is what happened. And she said, absolutely. Cause you were supposed to do a cost analysis and all this stuff. But because it was an emergency repair, we're using our vendor that we, did the bid, we bid out, for Perfect Temp. It is allowable. So we have $20,000 that we have to spend anyways. So it's not like I'm dipping into our balance. So 20 of the 30 is covered by the overage for that. So that kind of worked out. And yeah, so like I said, next time I'll do the quarterly report to show how we close the year out. We did end with a surplus. I'll have a list of all the stuff that we were able to do at the end of the year, the things we purchased, the things we fixed. I just didn't have time to do that. And so this, the authorized spending report is for this year. I ran it through September 1st, so the first 2 months of the school year. Really, it's only, you know, we're looking good. There's not much really there. There's one full payroll of everybody being back. That was on Friday. So as we go through, you know, there's still a lot of purchase orders that haven't been put in yet. So once the special ed POs go in, I'll have a better idea where we're at. We did a lot. We purchased the third van that came in. I believe we're still looking for a driver. I don't know where we're at with that. But overall, I think there'll be some good savings, you know, on the transportation route. The outplacement costs right now, no surprises, nobody came in out of the blue. I think there's just the one that we're gonna talk about. But other than that, everything so far has been going well, smooth to start the year.
That's great.
And I'll be working with the new principal and the new secretaries just to get them on board with, you know, budget season coming up and everything. So, but when one busy season ends, the next one opens.
Thanks, Stephanie. I had one question. 30030 purchase professional technical services. Is that contractors?
Yeah, that's contractor
Okay.
services.
And why have we already spent almost over half of that?
So one big thing of purchase services is the substitutes subline, which is about $296,000. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot.
And that's not under substitute salaries?
No.
Okay.
Nope. I have budgeted in that. That's for when we do the teacher in charge for the principals. That's why the budget's so small there. We can't remember. No, I don't know off the top of my head right now what's in that account, but it's all the contracted services. A lot of it's the facility stuff.
It's maintenance agreements, I believe, and things like that, technical, you know, support things.
Yep. So do you need to put in perspective, the Perfect Temp yearly maintenance agreement is like $25,000 just for the high school. That's just the high school. Each school has their own maintenance agreement. Then there's one for ESC, for the Environmental Systems Corporation. You know, the clothes for the custodians.
Probably our cybersecurity as well, if that's a contract that for.
That's not in, I think that goes under insurance. I don't think that's in.
Okay.
It's mostly our contracts and we do encumber those mostly in the beginning.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Stephanie, I have a question about the lunch fund because I know, I don't know that we did an increase in lunches. I know we can go up 10 cents a year or whatever, with the approval of the FDA or whatever it is, but we're running a deficit. I thought we talked about that in the spring and collection of that amount where people thought their lunches were free or reduced and, you know, the kids continued to eat and run up the accounts.
Yep, so we ended, we had to write off about $7,100 in bad debt, for students that didn't pay. And I have a feeling it's gonna be worse this year because now nothing's free. Well, obviously free is free, but last year reduced was free also.
Does the board need to take a look at a policy or a procedure, collection procedure? I mean, I don't know that it's worth it, but it seems $7,100 buys something. I mean, it's a significant amount to write it off.
I mean, you could put I mean, I've been working to try and come up with, you know, like different steps, you know, where if somebody wants to donate money in, if we had a business reach out that, you know, inquired about how they can donate to help offset the bad debt.
Generous
you know, when like the class of 2026, you know, when they got money left over in their student account, you know, they
donate it to, right.
What about
a lot of districts?
How about the Life Touch? You know, some of the Life Touch funds, I don't know how important they are to the individual schools, but the photography, class photography sometimes results in, you know, a very large sum of money. Can that be used to offset? I mean, do we need a policy, Charles or Laurel, on that?
The policy more that you need is for how you then spread the money out. So say somebody donates $100. You need a policy in place of how do you allocate the $100? Which student gets it? You know, how do you? It's a bigger policy than I think people realize, because unless somebody's going to pay off the entire debt, then you have to be specific with how you're going to allocate the funds.
Okay.
When you say with the bad debts written off at the end of the year, you're saying students don't start fresh at the beginning of the following
They start
year.
fresh with zero balance.
They start fresh with a zero balance. So potentially we wouldn't necessarily need to be concerned about allocating it to specific students if at the end of the year it could just be allocated to the debt.
Well, no, it'd have to be before June 30th, before we wipe out the
Right.
accounts. We would
Before
have
you
to-
wipe out the accounts.
Yeah, we can't just, I don't think we could just take a donation into Fund 05 for that purpose.
Right.
And
Right.
That's kind of commingling the funds.
Is
And
it worth it for us to do that? And do we need a collection policy going forward? Everybody starts at zero, but you know, at the end of the month, if somebody eats a school lunch every day at $3 or whatever it is, you know, that they're gonna run up quite a bill.
I know, and you can't shame them. You can't get, you know, back in the day.
Understood,
the cheap
understood.
sandwich, if they, you know, had a balance on their account, you can't say to them out loud, you don't have any money.
Right.
The only thing they prevent you from buying is like a la carte meals. So you can get a breakfast and one breakfast and one lunch. You can't get a second meal and you can't buy like a cookie or a water or a soda.
Right.
But I found out that if you actually bring cash, you can then take that cash and buy a cookie.
Of course.
Have a $300 balance on your account.
Hmm.
I learned that one recently.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We're generating some kind of letters home.
They send letters home. I just got we're already at, I think, $1,000 in bad debt already for 2 days of school, 3 days of school.
Well,
How much?
kids are buying lunch and families didn't think to go on and upload
Okay.
funds to their account. I bet that'll
Well,
help correct.
And there's also too, I guess, a new SNAP form that is supposed
Oh,
to
probably.
direct certification. So we're trying to, when they, I don't know how Portland does them. Do you guys send home packets in the mail, like the free and
I
reduced?
emailed them out last week.
So you email them out?
I emailed them out to Parent Square, for the bunch of years.
I just wonder if there's a lot more, because also with this new SNAP and direct certification that it lowers the threshold a little bit. So if you qualify for SNAP, you automatically, it rolls over into the school. So, you know, they're trying to help districts because they know this is happening. And it's all around, it's not just us, it's all around the state.
The challenge has always been getting parents to fill out those.
Right.
forms and get them.
And then you can send as many letters as you want. They start to know the phone numbers, you know, Olivia in our office is basically set on, because it's got to go to Title IX after 30 days. So Title IX is through Sarah, but is it you now? So now it goes through Chuck. So after the 30 days, when they hit that, that's when you have to start calling the families. And then once they see the phone number come up, they just start ignoring you. I don't know of a better way to try and reach people. Because you can't hold diplomas, you can't hold
No.
anything.
No, you can't. And you can't tell a kid you
Getting
can't
a
have
credit
lunch.
card without the account originally.
Well, they can, but there's a fee involved with that sometimes. I think there's a
Wait.
service fee or whatever.
Hold on, Meg, 1 second, because
Oh, sorry.
Chuck, do you want to come to the podium? Because I think Meg can't hear you, I imagine.
No, I couldn't.
That's right. This is just a process we've talked about a number of times, like and it's building principles. We always, and I was in that role, it was challenging trying to do debt collection of parents because it needs to be cash or it needs to be a check or it needs to go directly to their lunch accounts.
Yeah.
You know, we don't take online payments, we don't take Venmo, we don't take credit cards into the schools. We have no way of processing.
But families can use credit cards through the online system.
Yes.
Yeah.
Through the lunch account.
Yes.
But that's separate from anything we have access to.
Right.
That's our lunch service provider.
Right. Right.
And so, and we can't pay for bad debt out of the lunch fund. We have to pay for it out of our LES. That's why we budget in that purchase service, that up to $30,000 that I transfer in.
Mhm.
So usually within that transfer, we'll say it covers the student bad debt.
Okay.
We may have never realized it before because we transferred so much, but I couldn't transfer as much because we were over in the operating. So I only was able to transfer the bad debt amount in, which again, which makes no sense because we were in a deficit for the year in the lunch fund, but because our general fund is so robust from COVID and all the free money we got, we're at we were 100, I remember last year we were $100,000 over. That's when I bought all the serving lines, all the new tables. And
Right, I remember that.
so, I mean, it's better than $100,000, but you know, it's starting to eventually catch up. But my concern now is that with everything costing, the bad debt's gonna be higher. Not as many people are gonna buy lunch. And then I guess we'll have to see. We'll have to see how the next couple of years pan out.
Can we use classroom teachers at parent conference time to just review any documents that with every kid, that they may be eligible for, if we can give them some guidelines and give them a little script to ask, not insinuating that parents can't afford, but that parents need to know there is help available if they qualify, and give them that information during parent conference time. That'll catch some of it for the rest of the year.
I mean,
It's
if
kind of-
anything, you can't like direct it towards certain people. If anything, I would say maybe
No,
like a
you'd have to do it to
POE,
everybody. Yeah.
something like a broad, oh, just check your student lunch balance, to see if you have a balance in the account. If you think you're having trouble, reach out to the school and, we can talk to you or something like that.
But I think Meg's point about, if we could utilize open houses as an opportunity to give everybody a form, sometimes I think having a paper form as a reminder rather than an email, when particularly I'm not going to complain about great communication from our schools, but boy, I with 3 kids at 3 different schools, I was getting updates like every other minute on my phone, because there's a lot of things to communicate at the beginning of the year. So it's easy for that to fall through the cracks, and maybe a paper form, either with the packet of info you get from a classroom teacher, or on the way in the door to each school open house, maybe getting a paper form in people's hands would help get a higher rate.
Do we ever do paper forms, or is it always by email?
We used to send out paper forms with the student handbook and some other information for, before the beginning of school.
So we previously generally used paper forms, and our return was incredibly low.
Okay.
Which is why we transitioned to at least, and I agree with the notification and overload.
Yeah.
But the reality is the paper forms became more like snail mail and we're going away. Whereas the e-forms, we get a better response rate
Well,
with
that's
them
good.
in general communication.
That's good to know.
Activity with them,
Mhm.
track how many people at least see that's open. It's generally been positive in most communication standpoints.
I will say so when we were trying to collect, like towards the end of the year, when the secretary would call the people, Holly Russo, utilized, is it Parent Square? Parent Square, and we got probably $1,000 of our balance just from doing the Parent Square blast.
A reminder.
Oh, I don't know, because that'll go directly to your text message, so it might be, easier to access than, say, your email.
Mhm.
But we saw a better turnout from the Parent Square blast.
Absolutely.
So maybe.
And that sounds good if that is what works, because a lot of times people just, I'm guilty. I mean, I don't have kids in school, so I don't get the lunch stuff. But I know just from emails that get buried in other emails, sometimes the Parent Square is like front and center, and it's where they really look. So that might be a way to go as well.
It's that universal blast out. The key is that it has to be universal. It cannot.
Always, so you
Yes,
be
yeah.
private.
Always. Oh, yeah.
But how is it specific to the students
Well,
with the
that was
balance?
different. That wasn't the lunch form. That was sending a message
Oh,
directly
right,
with a link to it
for the bad debt.
parents who had a balance.
Gotcha.
Which is a general communication, any parent with bad balance. And an FYI, just so you know, if there is a concern, this is the application form we did link to. So it was indicated by, they had a balance, and we had a form document that we attached to it, that had a link to that form,
Yeah.
which is how we got a return for some, we've done a similar thing with problems in the past.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It sounds like a very thorough, multi-pronged approach.
it does. It does. All right. I just wondered, and I know we had talked about it earlier in the spring, so I just wondered where we ended up with that. And we'll, keep looking for solutions, I guess.
Yeah, and I think I don't know that we need to jump to a policy just yet. I think,
No.
maybe Stephanie, just keep us informed about how things are going. And if it's looking like it's trending very different from in years past, if you give us the heads up on that, that would be, then if it becomes a bigger issue, we can look at whether we need a policy or a different way to address it. Does that
Agreed.
sound fair, Meg?
Yeah, it sounds good. Yep.
Okay.
Just let us know and then see what we can do.
Any other questions for Stephanie, either about the lunch fund or about anything else on the authorized spending report? Nope, doesn't sound like there are any more questions. Stephanie, thank you so much. All right. We are going to move next to our report from our Director of Teaching and Learning. Chuck, we're thrilled you're here. I think this is your first formal report to the board, and I have to say I really appreciate how thorough your report is and love the format. And I'll just say what worked well with with Eric in the past was to have him kind of, rather than going bullet by bullet through everything, if there are particular things you want to highlight for us tonight, I hope everyone had a chance to read through this excellent report, and then maybe board members will have questions for you.
Absolutely. I mean, from talking with Charles, I was under the impression that we wanted about 40-page PowerPoint that I've had.
We love that.
No. First of all, I'm very excited. This is my first report, and my goal is hopefully something you see looking at this format is very almost exactly similar to my predecessor, which came from the feedback communication of the board following school improvement plan structure of TACO with teaching, academics, climate, culture, and operation. So you'll see my report in this format throughout the year. The one thing you don't see is the specific goals it's attached to each of these items, because you have yet to approve this year's school improvement plan for what is now the Office of Teaching and Learning as opposed to curriculum instruction and technology. But yeah, I'll just highlight a couple of things in this first report. Any questions you have, I'll skip the new teacher orientation and convocation information, as Dr. Britton already spoke to those in our student highlights. I did want to highlight that we are entering year 2 of our education evaluation support plan. I've never seen a more positive survey about a teacher evaluation system that we received at the end of last year. So the PDEC committee determined that we're going to maintain that form as is for year 2. We'll keep monitoring that, and we're going to take a stab at looking at our non-certified staff evaluation process this year with PDEC. For one of the focal points, I really wanted to make sure we weren't coming up with tons of new initiatives going forward or turning our focus, but really zeroing in and maintaining a forward momentum with the curriculum work and the instructional work that we've been doing. So to that end, our focus this year is on taking the next steps of curriculum development, looking at assessment and our multi-tiered system of supports, or MTSS. You've heard it probably in the past as RTI or SRBI, alphabet soup, and all means of how we target and provide the right support to the right students at the right time. This summer, we used a book called Taking Action, RTI at Work, that I trained both our curriculum leaders and our administrative staff on during our different retreats this summer. We talked about it at the convocation this year. I'll be working with our MTSS coordinators, including the new one we have at our middle school and high school, focusing on that EAS report need for bolstering our MTSS structures at the secondary complex. I'll be working with all those MTSS coordinators, bringing them to an RTI work conference this October, and they'll report back to you later this winter about how that goes. Looking to kind of develop some cohesiveness around the systems we use, really to model some of the strengths we see at our lower elementary level, the structures that they use that have turned such success for where Gildersleeve is right now and Rhode Island. For curriculum, you'll notice my report, a real focus this summer, almost 40% of our curriculum hours spent were on play-based learning, really focusing with our climate and culture to reduce screen time and focus on getting kids actively engaged. They're learning and engaged in creative thinking. You'll also notice the final bullet in the academic section is a focus this year on the 5-8 math curriculum. We'll be doing a review of all curriculum for grades 5 through 8 as I'll give a performance report for our state data at our in October at a future board event meeting. But as we're noticing that some areas that we see improvement needs for, we have seen such success at our lower elementary with the Bridges curriculum. So we want to find a parallel curriculum that will work to that same degree that includes the level of individual student practice in it that our current curriculum, we just do not feel has, or current program. Curriculum has the right standards identified, they need better tools in their hands. What we have found is teacher evaluation, through observing our staff, we have fantastic educators working incredibly hard with our students every day. We need to put the best tools in their hands to help facilitate effective learning tactics. We'll be doing a full program review process with a target of May to propose something to the board for a new program for grades 6 through 8. For grade 5, we have the capacity internally to move towards Bridges, which is what our grades K through 4 use. We'll be taking a look at how we shift that process over the course of this year. won't be right away. We're not gonna pull the rug out from our teachers. We want to ensure the proper training, support, and lead time as we look to transition to practices that have been so successful with grades 3 and 4 state assessments.
Chuck, well, the process you're planning to take, I'm sure, a team through this year, to evaluate the math curriculum, is this going to be is this going to mirror and be sort of similar to what everyone went through this past year with the K-3 literacy process, and in terms of evaluating what's available and what might work best in Portland? And are there going to be, systems in place of seeking feedback and testing it out?
Absolutely, and I'll talk more to it as we get to our curriculum subcommittee reports this year. That'll be a heavy focal point for the curriculum subcommittee this year, talking about the full process. But yes, it will include a full process. It doesn't have necessarily the same backing of the state legislation going with it.
Yeah.
So some of the resources that are available and the grants that are available would be different. We'll have to be a little more creative, but I do have a multi-stage process underway and a timeline that I'll share at subcommittee that we report out in the future. But how we'll go through that process, how we'll get feedback from different stakeholders, and how we will engage our neighboring districts to find what's been successful.
Great, thank you.
Can I just add one thing? I talked to somebody in Madison and they still use illustrative, but they modified some, because I know the standards are not the same. They don't mesh with bridges, so there's some confusion. But I was told that they made some modifications and they still use illustrative, and the assessment seems to play out that it is a good program and it does mesh with bridges. So it might be worth reaching out to the Madison schools, because they did make some changes to that curriculum so that it did mesh. So just a thought.
Absolutely, thank you. No, I appreciate that.
I don't get the name of the person that you should call, because this came from the chairman of the board in Madison, and he said it works well. They made some modification.
Perfect. Thank you, Madam.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Shifting to culture and climate, as I know Dr. shared with you at your retreat this summer, there are significant changes in school climate legislation. Part of my new responsibility is director of teaching and learning. Something that shifted onto my role is taking on the district school climate coordinator role. In the legislation, each building has identified the school climate specialists. We'll be both having their committees as well. Developing the Sunset's old bullying law. And I communicated last week to all parents our new challenging behavior form that gets utilized, posted that on the website. And I'll be continuing to communicate things about that throughout the year. We'll be working towards shifting, continuing the work we have focused on with inclusion, with our committee that we've had district wide. It will be folded within the umbrella of school climate coordination and kind of working with that going forward this year, kind of shifting that focus. As the legislation requirements for us to monitor and ensure we can help facilitate each school developing this climate.
Can you just talk about that transition a little bit more? Like how you're imagining the Equity Coalition merging with the District Climate Committee, and what you're envisioning that will look like, and how the equity work will be kind of preserved and furthered through this?
I was a part of the founding members of that District Equity Coalition, and
Is this the Equity and Inclusion Coalition
Yes.
we're talking about?
Yes.
That has become the Safe Schools.
We identified a name at the end of last year. We're gonna
Yeah.
be discussing that that was before I came on, so we're gonna be talking about that. I'm actually meeting with those coordinators.
Okay,
this
sorry, I
week.
just wanted to make sure I was tracking.
Absolutely, my apologies. Naming conventions are one of the hard parts for this, because we will look to shift it to kind of fit with what our current needs are at this point. We want to continue to preserve the important work that we are doing to ensure that all students in Portland are seen, heard, and felt to be valued. And want to continue and finalize some of the work that committee was doing last year. In terms of the idea of civility and focusing on kind of how we engage in effective discourse with one. I'll be meeting with those same, the monthly newsletters will continue. They'll be continuing to send out those inclusion newsletters out to staff to help with our students, to inform our general students. But ultimately, I don't want to speak too much to it now, as I'm working with those teachers and those leaders to kind of help determine how we're going to set goals for this year. So I'll be able to talk more about the shifts for it in a future board report. But the idea around that shift is that it's as opposed to creating a fourth committee what we would find doing school equity committees along with doing school climate committees as we were mandated to do is a lot, as a principal, I found that a lot of the work ended up being very parallel. And we would end up with very similar action items. So keeping it together in kind of a cohesive unit so that we are not duplicating work or misunderstanding it, but ensuring that we're implementing all of our climate efforts with that equity lens that we need to ensure that all students feel seen and heard, valued, safe within our schools, and that we are maintaining that climate for all students. So the last effort, I put this under operations. Screen time reduction is a heavy focus for the operations you'll see this year. We've reduced Chromebooks to carts to essential tasks only at our lower elementary. They will not be used at recess. They will not be utilized as time wasters. They will only be utilized when they're used for the power of differentiation and absolutely necessary at our lowest elementary levels, and in preparing them for skills they will need in building digital literacy towards things like towards assessments, that the assessments that they start taking in grade 3. Along with that's why we had the increase in play-based learning curriculum that we did this summer. We are also partnered with the CEA over the course of this year to bring in professional development that will focus on tying in play-based learning to the science of reading, to STEM, and we'll have a workshop on utilizing a play cart, which then gets donated to the districts. So I'm very excited that'll be happening between the months of November and January. Along with that, shifting from our youngest students to our oldest students. In Portland High School, they had an incredibly successful launch the school year with their no cell phone policy being enacted. I thought the principal did an exceptional job preparing students and student government last spring for this shift, for communicating effectively. And on the first day of school, every staff member was wearing a teacher that Dr. Britton has.
I think this is your moment, Dr. Britton.
This is great.
I put it on myself as I walked into the buildings that day. Focuses says, off and away during the day. I have been through the building multiple times every day since the start of school. I get to see a cell phone in the students' hand. It has been incredibly successful. You're open, even during lunchtime, kids that were out throwing the football around, I still didn't see a kid trying to hide a cell phone out, and that they really have taken it quite seriously, and students seem to be on board.
Liam, what do you think? I mean, I know you weren't there Thursday, Friday, but how was it today?
Wasn't that bad.
Did it feel different?
Not really.
No?
Good.
Okay.
And that goes with what was continued to be a cell phone free zone at our upper elementary grounds on campus.
Yeah.
So those are the highlights of the report. I don't want to take any more time other than answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Chuck. What questions do we have?
I was thinking back as you're mentioning the screen time reduction and increase in play-based learning. We saw it was not a policy, but it was like an approach from K through 2nd grade, I think, during our summer retreat. I'm wondering if we could see an update to that, because it sounds like what Chuck's talking about is reflecting maybe a change in what we saw. Is that fair? Is this ringing a bell?
There was a draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started talking about it a little bit. Yeah, I think we keep us posted throughout the year, Chuck. And you know, again, to the extent that Chromebooks are used at all at Valley View and in grade 2, we'd like to know. I think that, you know, we did have some discussions about whether they should be used, period. But also, we have to be aware that there are digital media standards. You know, we do have library as a specials, you know, there may be some limited carve outs, but I think we all agree, you know, indoor recess, no, we're not going to use that. We are moving towards a play-based way, and I think that we all agree with that. So I think what I've heard from the board is, as we present our taco plans and as you gave your reports, to what extent, parentheses, if at all, close parentheses, are Chromebooks being used at Valley View? And I think from what I've heard from the board, they'd like to weigh in on that extent.
Absolutely.
And as an addendum, not only was it not as a substitute for recess, but also stuff to keep students busy after they finish their schoolwork. I think that was another thing that we had talked about.
One thing that we talked about when I worked with Tracy and Ryan this summer, looking at how are we adjusting, trying to reduce screens in student environments.
Yeah.
And the real focus was on never allowing digital devices to be replacement technology for what could be done with our regular pen and paper or alternative activity. Making sure that when there's technology being used as that instructional tool is for an adaptive reason. Either that it provides differentiation capacity that couldn't be done via paper and pencil that allows us to individualize the feedback that students are getting in real time. That's really where you'll see technology used at lower elementary, when it is that type of adaptive technology that responds to what the student is doing in those limited independent practice times. It should not be used for any whole group activities that could just be done with a paper form or something in writing or something done as a whole class. The key is significant reduction in technology, with the exception of when we are directly teaching students on how to use technology appropriately through our library media center as part of their library standards that they need to facilitate.
Chuck, I'm just wondering, the whole play-based learning, which I am, very in support of. It's been an interesting shift in all my years. I feel like Charles with the whole using technology and then getting away from technology.
Yeah.
My whole undergrad was in play. I took courses where I had to make toys, and the shift away from play and now coming back to it, this sense that educators are uncomfortable with that teaching style because it hasn't been taught to them in their college education. I'm wondering that piece to the technology piece for moving away from technology as okay, they need to learn their math facts. Here is the math program we've been using online. Do you get a sense that they need to be taught some more low tech ways to have these kiddos engaging?
Maybe a little bit of training, but I honestly, the feedback from the teachers on the curriculum writing is excitement there, but a lot of teachers felt like they were prepared for this shift and it was not too off of how the skills that they had. The incredibly creative ideas they came up with in curriculum writing and tools they're looking to use. Now, part of that is making sure that we can support that with a budget that continuously replenish those play-based supplies. One of the reasons that one of the workshops I focused on getting them was one that ended up coming with providing them a play card, something we could practice with, and then see if we want to expand that for other grade to purchase more of those as needed, should we need to in the future. But our teachers were very excited about those adjustments, and they made them readily. Really the tech usage was not something that was met with huge resistance. It was only just a caution of not making sure that we go to an extreme of 100% removal, as there are valuable tools that help support us. And we're again trying to close achievement gaps and ensure that we are not closing pathways that could help some of our students, especially in a population that we've had with increasing ELL population, where a lot of technology we're seeing used has been adaptive for short translation tools and increasing our access to education. And it's not a resistance to reducing technology at all, but just a caution over not going to 100% of a ban or removal of use. Understand that there are these uses that can be effective, knowing that we don't want it to replace what could be done without technology. Just so that we want it to be something that is for adaptive purposes.
I can absolutely appreciate that perspective.
Yeah. And Chuck, I think that, and I know the answer to this, I'm leaving the witness though. We're going to see and hear some of that when Tracy and Ryan are here presenting their taco plans starting next week.
Absolutely. So in 2 weeks, yes, Tracy and Ryan, they're both on board. They both communicated with their staff how they're adjusting play-based learning. They're studying their staff, those familial nature. It's been lovely being in the elementary schools to see how those staffs run. They're really a huge buy-in. I mean, again, the curriculum work done this summer, with the limited hours I was able to give them, the amount that people worked, and what they produced was incredible and exciting. People decided how they were thinking of how do I tie these in to the new H&H science of reading curriculum units that we've adopted. How do I tie these things together? How do I tie in larger projects? And they're really passionately jumping into this. I believe second grade actually they requested a book, so they all did a summer book read together without requirement or prompting. They wanted to do this. We gave them the books, they went and did it, they ran their own summer learning for themselves. You know, I think you're gonna find, as you look at our lower elementary this year, a huge buy-in to this, and excitement around it. And we will continue to provide training as necessary. That's why we first, last year, partnered with CA, who was offering these workshops to get engaged. And we'll continue to expand that professional learning opportunity as we go forward. And it's a tough balance, because it doesn't mean we're stopping our focus at the higher level, looking at AI and how are we using technology. But for our lowest, most vulnerable students, we want to make sure that they are engaged, hands-on play. I mean, I have a third grader myself. I want him hands-on every day as often as he can be.
Yeah.
You know, they gave him his Chromebook today. I said, please don't bring
Thank you.
Yeah, great question.
I think it's
Thank
well
you so
put.
much.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Meg, go ahead.
No, I think what you said is absolutely important. Adaptive technology, certainly important for kids who learn in different ways and need that technology. But I will tell you that I picked up a grandson on Friday, and I saw one person come out of the middle school, and that's high school, middle school, getting on buses. One person with a cell phone, not on it, just carrying it. And the t-shirts that the teachers wore were a big hit. And it was a comment that my one of my twin grandsons made, that he doesn't comment anything about school sometimes, but he made a comment about the t-shirts. And so it did have a powerful effect. I also heard that some of the kids in the lunchroom at the middle high school were looking for games and puzzles and things to play. So even though play-based learning is relegated to K2 or K3, some of the high school kids are looking for play-based learning too. So, or at least having a conversation over a Monopoly game or whatever. So I thought that was interesting on the second day of school.
Sweet idea.
Yeah. Yep.
Puzzles at lunch tables in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
I do too. Rubik's cubes, all of that stuff. Yep.
We still do have some, I know that middle school, and Mike will be the one that monitors the staff.
Yeah.
We were looking at things like, we're just saying, board games and stuff like that for lunches, card games to facilitate conversations, things like that.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that work will continue, as they finish up with the little that's left from our SBDI initiative, funds.
Yeah, that's such a lovely idea. Be excited to hear more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you, Chuck.
Any other questions for Chuck?
No.
Chuck, thank you so much.
Thank you all. I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you next month again and at the first curriculum subcommittee.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to new business. And the first item of new business is a discussion about the Strategic Capital Improvement Committee report. And I just wanted to start this conversation first by thanking Dr. Britton for the presentation that he put together to share the hard work of this committee over the last 8 months, and to give it context, and to, I thought, very fairly and accurately reflect the work that took place and the recommendations that were made. So thank you. I know that was a lot. And I appreciate it and thought you did a great job and fielded a lot of really good questions from folks who attended. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'll hand it over to you if you wanted to add anything.
I guess so. There's just it was a lot of information, right? I mean, it was a ton, and I kind of want to hear it from the board, right? Do you have any questions? Do you have any feedback? Are you on board? Right? Is this something that you as the Board of Education supports, right? And if so, there are some very concrete things that we need to do, right? Like the first thing that I have to impress on everybody is, while the Strategic Planning Committee is done, and we can now talk about whether it needs to be as a committee report. I mean, the report is submitted, right? I now have, along with Bob, a huge, I mean, enormous project that I really need to get going, right? And first step is, I'm curious to hear, are you behind this? If so, great, thank you. And are there any questions you have? But now it's like, okay, next step, right? What's the next step on this journey that we have? If the ultimate goal is to get to a bonding referendum that we can share and have confidence that we've answered all of the community's questions in September, right? To me, there are two, I'm sorry, excuse me, by the spring. There are two first steps in this. One, I think it's going to be really smart for us to do a second demographic study, right? I didn't get a chance to talk to Stephanie today, but I'm going to ask her to put out on Casbo. I know there's another firm out there. We've used Peter Proud, and Peter's great, but there's another outfit in the state that does demographic studies. We have Proud does 2 studies. I'd like to get this one going too. And as I work with this group, make sure that they're focused on what the effect of Brainerd Place will be, specifically how, because all of the work that Prouda did, of course, was kind of guessing, right? But I think we need to take a deeper dive into that. And I would feel very much more comfortable if we did a third demographic study with this firm that does it, and we'll find out from Casbo. Otherwise, I can reach out to my superintendent's network. It's got to figure out what it was. Now, again, this is not a budgeted expense. I don't know how much it would be. I don't think a demographic study would be an awful lot of money. It's somewhere in the $3,000 to $5,000 range, but it's a set of data that, with the space standards and all the things, I think we really need to do. The second thing, though, and this is a conversation here and for our friends on the Board of Selectmen, is this is a little heavier expense. I absolutely need an architect, right? I need a friar or somebody with that level of skill and expertise to really help us dial in the report, dial in the conceptual order of magnitude budget and the scope of work. Valley View is actually the easier of the two, right? Because it's a full renovate to new. We know what we're going to do to renovate to new, hire a construction company and renovate it to new, like got it and build a new building. The more challenging one in my mind is Gildersleeve, right? Because we're not talking about a renovate to new, we're talking about alterations. And that may involve different projects on a different timeline with different bidding, and I don't know how to do that one yet. So what I really need is an expert, right? Now, I've spoken with Mike Serrano at Fryer and said to him, would he be willing to extend his contract with us, and could he do this work? He said, yeah, absolutely. That's what we do. We're architects. He has promised me an email today with a price for a contract extension. We know how much it cost when we spent the COVID money. We know how much it costs to extend the contract with him for the strategic planning committee. We need him more for the next really 2 years to help us, or a year at least, to put this together. I don't know how much that'll be. I think it will be significantly less than if we go out to bid and find a new company, a new vendor that would start new. And I trust Mike. I found him to be a great partner in this, and he's done good work for us. So I think what I'm hoping tonight is just to get some feedback from you is we support this plan, and Charles, go. Like, go do this work. Get going. We want you to do this work. And of course, you'll get the labor from me out of free, but the experts I need aren't free. Stephanie, I didn't budget for another contract extension with Fryer or a demographic study. I need to now start figuring out what those costs are and how we, both as a board and as a town, would pay for those, because those, I think, are two really smart and essential things that we need to do to develop this plan fully.
So, Charles, I have a couple of questions. We got the presentation the other night with the Board of Selectmen. There were very few questions. There were a couple. There was a lot of data, a lot of information to digest. Are we jumping to prepping for an assumption that this is going to pass a referendum? Because I thought that this fall we would be meeting with PTOs, parent groups, community groups to explain exactly what came out of this joint committee, and to let the people not to decide that this isn't a good or a bad plan up front, but just to hear what are the costs involved, what's the timeline for Valley View to be built to new, renovate to new, Gildersleeve to be repaired to be a safe, secure high quality facility. And I thought we would have the fall to at least talk about it. And then, once we are satisfied that people have that understanding of what this entails, because this is, I call it the omnibus bill of school consolidation and development. It contains a lot of different components. And the referendum will be one referendum to vote for this plan of 2 schools closing Brownstone, et cetera, updating the middle school. I think that we would be doing ourselves a disservice by jumping in with an architect, and we can certainly start to talk about it, but I think we have to have people on board, because this vote is going to be dependent on people understanding what they're voting for. And as we go, we can share the costs that will be developed by an architect. We can share the other timelines of how we're going to do A, B, and C, and how that affects student transitions from one school to the other as we are updating or reconstructing. Does that make, am I the only one that thinks that we're jumping the gun with demographic studies and architects and all of I think that comes, but I was thinking that would come in, January, February, when we feel like we've got the blessing of the people and in town, the community behind us. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Meg. In some ways, I think I feel that it needs to happen simultaneously. That we need.
Okay.
I think we need to sit down with First Selectman Pelton and make sure that we're all on the same page. And I imagine there'll be conversation. Selectman Dillon is here as well, and I imagine there'll be conversation at the Board of Selectmen meetings in the future. So we want to know that there is support, I think, on both the Board of Ed and the Board of Selectmen side to start to move forward with this. But my fear is that, part of the trouble we ran into last time with our timeline was that we were slow to get going, and by the time we had all the information in our hands, it was rather late in the process. And then there was, by the time it was moved forward by the Board of Selectmen, we all felt like we couldn't really speak about it. That whole period of silence. So I think that we give ourselves the best chance of moving a solid plan forward if we do both things at once. We have to start having the conversations in community groups with PTOs. As you said, all of that needs to start happening. But at the same time, I think that we have to move forward with the next steps. Getting the demographic study is a really important piece to make sure we feel like we've got good data particularly about the Brainerd Place.
But anybody that's done any home construction or hired somebody to pave their driveway or paint tar on it, they give you a price, and that may not be the final price. And I think you get as much information as you can, and construction is not a science. And so I feel like we could review all of the components of this so people understand that this is a big plan. It's a good plan. I think, and it's what came out of 4 different committees, and this is what will work for the community. And if we do agree to support it, I don't know that I have enough of a handle on all the intricate stuff that is going on in it to say tonight, unequivocally, yeah, I'm ready to do this. I think I'd like to see another public meeting with parents and community members invited. Not, we did it the other day, and a lot of people were still away, and school, was slowly beginning. I'd like to see another public meeting, not to not to say yay or nay, but just to information meeting. What is this about, and why is this a good plan? If we can sell it that way. So that was my feeling. And simultaneously, we should be doing demographics. We should be talking to the architect, getting those numbers in place. And it's not going to happen in 2 weeks. It'll take several months.
Exactly, which is why I think Charles is feeling like if we were to hold off until December or January to start on those next steps, we would be really making trouble for ourselves in terms of trying to move forward in a timely way towards a spring referendum. Right. But I think you're spot on that if that work can happen simultaneously, and when you talk about meeting with community groups and holding more public forums and meeting with PTOs and all of that, in my mind, some of some of the most important pieces of those conversations has got to be about how this new plan addresses the concerns that we heard from the community in the first go around, and I thought that Dr. Britton did a really nice job speaking to that in the report, because it came up in conversation after conversation after conversation on the committee about the various pieces that we identified as really being sticking points for various chunks of our community. And how this new plan will speak to each of those concerns,
And that might
then
be
see
where
what
we
questions
start.
folks still
Right.
have that we need to be able to answer. So
that could
I
be
think
where we start.
that's
Right.
information gathering as well as information sharing, right? And we
Right.
need to have both. We need to
think we
have
have to have
those
both.
opportunities for the community at the
Yeah.
same time that Dr. Britton and First Selectman Pelton start moving forward with some of the other really, putting the really important pieces in place.
Right. And I also think that the board is going to own this, and board members should, if they agree to do so, meet with groups as well to explain. I do know, and this is, just a little bit of history, that when they did the new park out on Route 17, there were Ralph Zampano went around and he talked to a lot of groups for many, many years. There was posters, there was all kinds of information, so that when it was a final vote on the referendum, I know we're talking about a whole different scenario in terms of money or whatever, but people, if they wanted the information, it was available in many different ways, including posters at Sarah's and the grocery stores or whatever. And there were handouts, and there were plenty of places where you could get, and then also public meetings. I know he came to a couple of PTO meetings in Valley View during that time, and it took a long time. It wasn't just a 1-year deal. It took a long time to get to the point where that referendum went through. So it's just an idea. But I think, and I agree, simultaneously would be the best. But I think I'd like to see at least one largely attended public meeting about, this is what the committee was charged with. This is how it was addressed through the plan that we have, and this is why it's a good plan. And I don't know that the Board of Selectmen, everybody is on board yet as well. So I think we need a little more time to process it. But I do think that after all the work that's been done, I think this is probably the best plan going forward.
Curious what other folks are thinking.
I think, to Meg's point, I agree with the communication piece, but I do understand the simultaneous. And I think being very careful, I've said this before, making sure that we are communicating. So I'm hearing her saying we should be gathering information and communicating, and then we need to be communicating that we're gathering the information. Like, I think it's very important that we are transparent, and that the information, and I know, Charles, you said something about you're not a salesman or something, and you're depending on other people. I feel like that is what we need to be discussing, is how are we getting this information out in a way that is accessible, easy, doesn't take an hour to watch the video, which was amazing the other night, all of that information, but having it quicker, easier to access and understand all of the components, because there is so much to this that I don't feel like right now I could speak eloquently to a community member and say, well, because of X, Y, and Z numbers, we need to do A, B, and C. So having that in a format that we can even refer back to and say, look, we're saving this much because we're doing it this way. Yes, it costs this much. The reimbursement should be about this much, and at least have some numbers we can provide with the understanding these are estimates, these are our best estimates, but really being careful about moving forward and not putting the cart before the horse, and not having that perception in the community that, oh, look, they're just moving forward with this when we haven't even in the referendum. So being sure to be clear. Yes, we are making steps forward because we need to be ready if it passes. So I think all of that needs to be conveyed clearly, articulately, multiple times, multiple ways.
And to be extra clear, it's not just preparation so that if it passes, we're ready to go. This is work that has to happen in order for there to be a referendum question. If we want this on the ballot, if we want to give Portland voters the opportunity to weigh in on it, this is work and labor that has to happen now to put those pieces in place so that our question is accurate. So I hope that that we can help there be an understanding about that it's yeah, I don't know about cart or horse, but it all has to happen.
Right, so is there something to that end? Like, we're talking about hiring an architect and hiring for other things. Is there someone to tap within Portland? And I know there's the silent period, but I'm talking about front loading now.
Yes.
Information clearly on a website in a pretty format, easy to read.
I think we're gonna be having a lot of conversations about that piece in particular, and you referenced not being a marketing expert. And I don't know that any of us are, but I think that there are resources that we can tap into before we get to the point where the selectmen move a question forward to referendum, where we can put together some materials that are clear and concise and easy to follow.
Well, it's called public relations and marketing. It's branding this plan if the board decides with the information that we have to move forward. It really is a public relations, and it could be somebody who's not on the board. It should be somebody who's not on the board, who can kind of lead it and also design some brochures and some posters and have a couple of big public meetings. And I think people will come. I mean, it's exciting to think that we would have 2 brand new, or renovated to new, elementary schools.
Yeah, so those are good points, Kim. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
What did you want to add?
very similar to that. I mean, you just hit on it, Meg. One of the thoughts I had, $80 million project. Maybe one of the people we hired, in addition to the architect and the other thing, is a marketing person or firm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give us some guidance how to make these things communication savvy, whatever the word I'm looking for. Because my first point was going to be, the board of selectmen got to piggyback with us as well and get that financial planner going, because I still am clueless about the money piece. I couldn't speak intelligently to that today if you asked me.
Yeah.
Along with a marketing person that Meg was mentioning, and it made me think of, we got to dumb this down as much as possible. Maybe there's a nice, the presentation was great. Maybe there's a 1-pager with numbers, with a spreadsheet, with this is what it's going to cost estimating. This is what we think the reimbursement's going to be. This is what we think the tax assessment is going to be over the next 10 years, 15 years.
Yeah.
And this is what we think the mill rate, everybody says, what is the mill rate impact? But we have yet to answer that question, even just ballpark.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that that's a great point, and goes straight back to one of the really important recommendations that Charles made and shared during the presentation, was just how important it is now to go through these next steps and get the pieces in place so that we can bring somebody on board as a community to help us understand what our current financial obligations are, what the debt looks like long term, so that we can get that accurate projection on what the mill rate impact will
I
be.
talk to people and I say, well, like a neighbor or something, in theory, Rainier Place is going to be this, Spa's going to be this, it's going to be maybe $2 to $3 million in extra taxes. I don't know, but I'm just spitballing it.
Yeah.
But the numbers could be really telling down the road, saying this is really going to, support this project.
Yeah.
And the mill rate impact will be minimal down the road.
Which is why it's so important that we get that data.
Yeah.
Part of exactly right. And Meg, to your point, I don't disagree that having focus groups and town halls and people coming is important. What I would just suggest is we're not ready yet, right?
No.
What we have to do, what I need the architect for, what I need the demographer for, and what we need the financial planner for, is to go do the work to develop the content that we would give to a marketer and then use at the town hall and the focus groups. So we need to work hard, September, October, do our work, get the real numbers.
I think that's important, but I think we can still, with your presentation that you did the other night, talk about what the reasons were why people voted no, what their concerns were. And that would just be an information session, laying out what the plan is, the recommended plan is. And more to come as we evolve the information. We're going to have more groups. We're going to put it out in, social media. We're going to put it in the newspaper. We're going to do it in a number of ways, podcasts or whatever. Set a table up somewhere during parent conferences or whatever we need to do to provide that information, because we did effectively change a lot of minds during the fair last year, but it was too late and there was too much negativity at that point. I think we had that one sheet that Laurel had. I printed it on colored paper here, and people took it and they got it. but and again, we can talk about what happened when they got to the polls, but to vote and to do the actual voting. But I think that's what people will understand, that this is, we're not just pulling stuff out of the air. We have done the studies. We know what the cost random, kind of roundabout can be. More specifics will come as we move forward with the architect, with the financial planner. And that's when next January, February, March, that information is out and it's more better communicated through branding of the Portland School Consolidation Plan. I mean, that's where I think we need to get out in front now and have those conversations. But whatever the board decides is fine. And I just thought I'd throw my 2 cents in.
Sarah, we haven't heard from you yet.
Yeah, I'm in support of moving forward with the demographic study and architect. I would suggest fire to minimize our costs, knowing that we have to go out to bid before we do the full-on construction project. So it's not like we're giving them that contract. They know the history. So that would be my 2 cents related to that. And the financial planner, because in addition to the listening sessions and the sharing sessions that Meg is referring to, we need to have some hard data to be able to address the questions that people are going to have and to be able to put forward a referendum. And I don't want to be behind the ball like we were last time, because we're going to be shooting ourselves in the foot yet again and wasting time if we're not able to move those things forward now.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's really kind of spot on, Sarah. And I agree that we've given ourselves a good amount of lead time now. If we can just all agree to let's start moving through these steps. We know that the steps are, let's get the information. I think last time around there was hesitation, there were pauses, it just, for a lot of reasons, it moved slowly. And then we found ourselves with not very much time at the end. And this time around, we can give ourselves this time to do the work, to gather feedback, to share information, and it can happen. We've got time. So I think I would really not advocate for us to wait on moving forward with the data gathering pieces, because I think that is so critical.
So I think my only hope is that there was still a way, even tonight, and I know the minutes go out and I know these recordings go out, but something else that says, okay, on September 2nd, the board said they're going to do X, Y, and Z, and here's why, because they need to gather this information. I feel like that is still an important part that we're missing, starting now, just to, again, get ahead of the misinformation,
right?
And having an easy place to be able to just access. Page within the Portland's website that just has main bullet points.
Sounds like you're saying, yeah, go on, Charles.
No, I would suggest that we have a separate web page for school consolidation in Portland. And I know that would be an expense, but that would be a place where people could go and get information as well. It kind of gets buried in our website, which is quite large and many pages. And I think that was also problematic because people don't take the time to go through an hour's worth of data. They really want to look at, why is it good for me? Why is it good for us? And what is it going to do for my taxes?
Yeah, and I think we can focus less on why are we doing it? I think people get why we're doing it. We can focus on the questions they had. What are we going to do with Brownstown? What is it going to cost us? Why are we doing 30-year versus a 20-year bond? Yada, yada, yada. All those things bubbled up. Now we know what their hesitations were. We should be focused on those.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think those are really good points.
Yeah.
These are all really good points.
So I'll bring information. Like I said, I'm gonna get the information on the new demographer. Briar's gonna provide me an updated quote for what his services would be to help with this phase of the process. And I think, Laurel, it would be a good idea for you and I to make it time to sit down with Mike and share this, talk about that, and the financial planner piece of it.
Yeah,
sounds like there's a go. So keep working on this and keep us posted.
I'll just make one last comment. When we had the meeting, there's a gentleman speaking online. And when he laid out how the middle school is built, to replace the brownstone, but the brownstone didn't get closed. A light bulb went off in my head of why we're so big.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't know it, but it just kind of put it together, not being a town resident all my life.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and that goes back
20 years.
20 plus years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that was interesting questions and interesting comments for sure.
Yeah.
But
that could be
a well-made point.
the story of
Story, right?
why we're where we are today,
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Any other thoughts or any other questions that came up during the presentation, or things you're still kind of stewing over, or pieces of information that you'd like more of in this moment, knowing that there's lots of information we all want?
The one reimbursement rate that wasn't estimated was the upgrade to PMS and PHS in the secondary complex. Is that information that we think we could have?
Yes.
Okay.
So that that's another reason why I need the architect, right? Part of what we need to do, and Laurel hopefully will join us, and maybe the facility committee, is I really want to now reach back out to the Department of Administrative Services in another call with them, with our architect present, to explain, to update them. They loved us last time, by the way, that we were like their poster child for what they wanted schools to do to consolidate and that type of thing. We now I think we need to update them, and in updating them, talk to them about why we elected alterations and not renovation to new at Gildersleeve, because of we don't want to lose 9,000 square feet, and get their feedback on that. And also on the secondary school, what reimbursement we're eligible for the roof, and if they're reading any tea leaves about those HVAC grants coming back. So we've got a lot of important conversations with important people to have that being one.
It sounded to me like the HVAC grants were not coming back as a standalone grant opportunity, but the funds were being absorbed by the school reimbursement program.
That DRIP money.
DRIP is separate. And we can talk about DRIP more. I'm really excited about DRIP because, and I testified at the the public hearing about DRIP, the DRIP program, because it was designed to mirror the program that already exists for municipalities that provides annual funding to municipalities for capital improvements. And Portland gets a small amount, 85,000 or something like that, annually to put towards municipal capital projects. And so the DRIP program is mirrored after that. It's very similar, and it will support public school districts specifically to be able to have some reliable capital funds every year to put towards capital improvements. And I think that my memory is that the estimate for Portland would be somewhere in the 80 to 85,000 range that we would be able to rely on annually to help us maintain our facilities and tackle projects that otherwise are hard to fund. And
Laura, can you send out that information? Because I know there was something that came out about how that fund was going to roll over. 2025 is not funded as a grant program. It's a rolling application. Is that correct? Is that what you read when I sent you that document?
I don't know about if I read that about the DRIP. I don't think I read that about the DRIP program specifically, but we can look more into it and how that'll impact us with this year's budget. But anyways, that the DRIP fund is separate from the grant program that we will be going through.
It's the non-priority list stuff.
The priority list stuff is where they're going to house the HVAC funds, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And that
So we have work to do to make sure we're really educated about how these different funding mechanisms work. And I think that Charles's point about sitting down with Department of Administrative Services as soon as we have an architect on board is going to be really important in terms of figuring out what we can actually anticipate for reimbursement with the projects that aren't as straightforward as a renovate to new. And that's we all know that's such a critical piece of information.
Yeah. And I know one of the first things they'll say is, have you done a demographic study?
Right.
So
right.
All of this, we have to start pulling it all together, because there's still unknowns, like what an alterations means, what what the feedback from Department of Administrative Services would be, because we don't want to demolish 20% of the building, you know.
Yeah.
There are a lot of, the strategic planning committee did a lot of good work, but they got us only so far. They got us to a concept. They got a concept of renovate to new pre-K to Valley View, alterations 3-5 Gildersleeve, work on the secondary school, some money into to Brownstone. That's still 50,000 foot. We now need to
Dial it in.
That's it. And
I had a quick question that I didn't bring up at the meeting last week. And now you mentioned the state.
Mhm.
I'm assuming the committee, and I don't want to assume anything because we know how that goes. Did they do the analysis of if we took the hit on those 9,000 square foot, yet we got additional reimbursement because we renovated to new, where would that math land us?
yeah, it would have brought us, the alterations is more expensive.
Yeah.
You're saying if we renovate to new, maintain the 9,000 square feet that puts us over and take the hit on the reimbursement rate? And that's a good question for Department of Administrative
Great
Services.
Yeah.
And that's been on my mind.
Yeah.
That's been on my mind, Dave, as well as just talking to them about the reasons that this likely failed in our community to begin with and how we're trying to address community concerns. They might have thoughts, there might be additional resources, you know, I think that it's got to start with a conversation with PAS.
Yeah.
And it would also be, in that case, the difference between asking for permission and forgiveness, which is what happened in the secondary school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's
The other
exactly.
thought-
That
Yeah, the other-
excellent question, and I don't have the answer to it, but one of many questions that we need to answer.
Yeah.
Well, the other thought that I had is that 9,000 square feet could be used for early childhood pre-K, so that we ended up with, and I don't know that it would be, you know, Portland or Head Start or whatever, but, you know, could we retain that and utilize it for larger pre-K classes and open it up to more students, you know, not just birth to 3 that come into our programs, but also to other 3 or 4-year-olds, or 4-year-olds particularly in the district. Because we think that's a group that's, and that's another group that's growing from what we see, what we think we see this year. So I wonder.
Yep, lots of questions.
Lots of questions,
Well,
yeah.
that's an is that an ed spec? That would be an ed spec, correct? Part of an ed spec?
It would be, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Any final questions, thoughts? This has been a good conversation.
Thank you.
Really, I'm glad that we had the opportunity to talk it through.
If anything, we've all learned that there's no easy answer and
Yeah.
there's no silver bullet. So
Yeah.
we just need to find the right path
Yeah.
and see if it works out for the majority of the, because not everybody's gonna vote, you know, even on the park, they had X percentage vote no.
Yep.
So you're gonna always get the no's, but just can we get the most of the
Yeah.
town happy with what we're proposing?
Yeah, the
We
question.
want the majority of yeses.
Does this plan address enough of the concerns with the first plan that we can bring folks on board? It's, you know, yeah, it's a good point. And it'll be interesting to hear what the conversation is like at subsequent Board of Selectmen meetings.
Thank
So,
you.
all right, yeah, thank you. All right, we're gonna move on. These next two should be quick. Item B is approval of the Middlesex Hospital Vocal Cords Building Usage Application. To Britton, do you have anything you want to say about this one?
No,
This is
it's
one that
a
they,
long time relationship with them. They're wonderful, great event. Happy to support it.
yeah, questions? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to move to,
Okay,
I make the motion.
gotcha. Meg's making a motion to approve the building usage application from the Middlesex Hospital Vocal
Yep.
Cords.
Yep,
And
it
Kim
is from the
seconded
vocal-
already. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. And the next item is approval of an out-of-state field trip. This is the one that we've added late. And this is the Portland High School band trip to the Big E. And we're bringing this forward, just acknowledging that typically these requests need to come to the board a month in advance for an out-of-state field trip, and this is coming to us under a month in advance. But this is a long-standing field trip that the Portland High School Band does every year to play in the Big E. They're one of, I believe, 8 bands that are invited to perform at the Big E on Connecticut Day, which is a special opportunity. So here's the request. Did you want to add anything?
No, just that we broke protocol a little bit to rush it through, but you know, it's coming right up. Can't wait for the Big E, and you know, we didn't want to take away this opportunity for that.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a tradition, so they want to go to the Big E. I'll make a motion to support the Portland High School Band field trip to the Big E, and hope they have a good time.
Thanks, Meg. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Sarah. Is there any discussion about this? Questions? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously, and I hope they have a wonderful time. We don't have any old business to attend to this evening, so we're going to move to committee reports. Curriculum is working on scheduling a date. We should have a report for you by October. Policy.
Next meeting, the policy meets at the next meeting on September 16th, I think, at 5:30 in the afternoon. Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
So we'll have an update for you then. Personnel has not met, but Patricia is in the process of shepherding us through scheduling multiple meetings between now and October and November.
Yeah.
To deal with some
Yes, Dave, Sarah, and well, let Tricia know. I know that because we've got a schedule with Christopher Tracy and M&J for the transportation, and then Rebecca and the custodians, and Rebecca and the paraprofessionals.
Right.
So we got, and we do want to try to get these done or before the end of October, because of course, a lot of these things, especially the transportation, has a significant impact on our budget, which we start in November. So.
Yeah. So, and as you all recall, we did defer, we were able to successfully do a 1-year extension with our para educators and our custodians last year. And that was really appreciated because we were in a year where all of our contracts were up for negotiation. So those 2 were deferred, and we're happy to be able to address them this year.
And that we did 4-year with the nurses means that after we do these 2, we'll be back on 3-year off, 3, which is way more reasonable. And thank you for the personnel.
Yeah,
that was a lot. And that was because COVID messed things up, and we got a schedule.
Yeah,
we're back. We're back.
So there'll be lots to come on that front. Buildings and grounds. Have you all
Building
met?
and grounds, no meeting, but we did hear about the explosion that put some rocks up on the roof. We also know the boiler is on target for installation in November. And I think if we need a meeting, Charles will reach out to all of us and we will have a meeting.
Great. Any CREC updates, Meg?
Yeah, we're gonna meet on the 17th of September. And that's a regular business meeting at 11 o'clock at the CREC headquarters in Hartford. And I encourage any board member that wants to come, please join. Come and learn about CREC and how they can, all the resources that are there that we might be able to utilize.
Thanks, Meg. Dave, any updates from the Board of Selectmen?
The last meeting was our joint meeting. And then the one prior to that was brief meeting, and big thing out of there was the announcement of a new director of public works.
Great
Everybody
news.
heard, so
Yeah.
you know, that impacts us. It can, but
Good for the town.
yeah, good to know. So other than that, nothing.
Youth Services Advisory.
We don't have a scheduled meeting. I would imagine that sometime between now and October, there will be. It is no secret that Courtney is now battling lung cancer. She has been very open about her diagnosis, and she is doing chemotherapy. A very young woman who has now joined a group of young women who are being diagnosed with lung cancer, who didn't smoke, who didn't vape, or didn't do any kind of stuff that would cause this. And she's lovely. She has an 11-month-old daughter born last November. So prayers for sure. The committee as a whole is organizing food and gift cards and things. So just keep her in your prayers. She's a very necessary part of our community, and we hope and wish much success for her in her treatment.
Thank you, Meg.
You're welcome.
Safe Schools and Inclusion Coalition. Sounds like there's going to be more to come on that, Sarah.
I think so.
Okay, we'll look forward to hearing at some point. Did you all have a meeting scheduled or is that? No, not yet.
I
Okay.
think it's all very much in,
Okay.
it's a dynamic situation.
Gotcha. And Strategic Capital Improvements Committee, I think we get to strike this one off our liaison list. And so I'm going to do that with pleasure right now. Here we go. Audience of citizens. Do we have anyone with us in person who wishes to address the board or online?
So I'll reintroduce myself, Karen, right? And that was a fantastic discussion on the buildings. I think a lot of the concern, of course, is getting lots of citizens, what it's gonna mean for them. I think one of the big questions that a lot of citizens have is why do we need to do anything? So I think we need to make sure they understand the conditions of buildings and why we really need to move forward with some. But I think just getting that across. But, and I also had a question about that 9,000 square feet too, so I'm glad Dave had that. But, because I was questioning, I was like, why do you need to keep it? I didn't understand that either. I do like the idea about the, pre-K and the maybe Head Start program, that's cool. But overall, great discussion, so it's a good meeting, thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Is there anyone online who has comment for us? No? All right. No one's online. Thank you.
Meg.
All right, just Meg. All right, Board of Education member comments. We'll go around. Meg, did you have anything? I won't forget you.
Just want to say congratulations to our Teacher of the Year and the Para of the Year. I think that's wonderful and it's exciting that we did reinstitute that program. I did make a note here. I did want to bring up something, and there's no discussion or decision that has to be made, but the terrible accident that occurred on Route 17, there were many parents who have acknowledged that the Apple Tree Route 17 intersection bus pickup, whatever, is a concern. And they may have reached out to Charles. There have been 14 accidents in that area because it does kind of wind, people go too quickly. And maybe that can be addressed at some future meeting where we talk about the safety of our students who do take the bus and where they are being picked up. And that's basically my comment. Thank you to Chuck for a great report. I think we're off to a great school year and I look forward to all wonderful things this year. So thank you.
Meg.
Yes.
Why don't we start over here? Dave. Oh, sorry.
Also congrats to our Teacher and Para of the Year. Couple small things. Did the store open up over here successfully?
Not yet, you can see it.
I glanced at it
under
coming in and
construction,
I
right.
talking. Was curious about that. And then you mentioned Brainerd Place. I mean, they're 80% filled in the first building, so we should have a sense maybe if anybody's coming out of there.
That's a good point. We should be asking about that. And I hope that the demographer we hire will be really pursuing that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I can go in Power School and check pretty easily, and now that you say that it's 80% full, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
There's a good.
And if you do decide to need board games, I have 4 cases of Port Monopoly in my garage.
I think it would be welcomed from what I heard.
Yeah, just let me. And then the last thing was a policy recommendation change is that, you know, when you have new faculty and staff, they get shirts. Maybe when we have the new Board of Education members, we should also be included.
New shirts.
Especially because we're coming up to an election this year and I'm sure we'll have some new faces.
BOE t-shirts.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, so there you go, make it formal.
Seven school store.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go. We're gonna hop around because I inadvertently skipped Liam. No, Dave, that was my bad. Liam.
Yeah, firstly, congratulations is in order to all the new hires that we have. And then there's another person who needs congratulating over there, Mr. Bernard. Sorry, Mr. Bernard. I have to get that. Yeah. A lot of great discussion. It certainly helped me wrap my head around what's going on with the referendum. I unfortunately wasn't able to watch the meeting. I was away. So this has been very informative. Additionally, I haven't heard anyone mention it here, but the hallways, we have them painted. Thank the Lord it's not yellow anymore.
It's beautiful, right?
I think you have Bob Shea and his team to thank for the hard work that
Yeah.
went into all of the
I even
sprucing
like
up.
the Portland High School sign
Yeah.
as he come in now. And then
It looks really
it's
nice.
Sharp.
Yeah, he and his team did a phenomenal job. You're right. Thanks for mentioning that. Yeah.
Congratulations, Educator of the Year and Para Educator of the Year. Super. I want to say thank you to Chuck, really, for all of your hard work. I think the initiatives are amazing. I'm so happy to hear about the play-based learning being focused on, the reduction in screen time. So I'm really happy to hear about it and happy to hear all of the tremendous work that's being done to support our students. So thank you for all of that. And then I'm happy to hear at the high school with the cell phone policy that's
Really.
great work. I'm happy to hear there's a good start to the school year.
Yeah, thanks, Jim.
Congratulations to Dylan and Mallory, and congratulations to our long tenured staff and educators as well. 45 years is amazing. And also, yeah, to thank you to all of the staff and educators that have made this new school year opening almost without incident and just really warmly welcomed our students back. So thank you to all of you.
Yeah, I don't think I could say it better, Sarah.
Can I just jump in because I found the note? Angela Hammond, we wish her well. We thank her for her service. You may be saying something too, but I hope that her health continues, and I wish her well in her journey. So I just want to say thank you, Angela.
Thanks, Meg.
Agreed.
Yes, absolutely. I wanted to mention briefly that registration for the CABE convention is open. That's November 21st and 22nd. It's a Friday and a Saturday. I've attended the last few years. I know Meg has attended, Sarah's attended in the past, Charles has attended, and it's for me every year. It's such a valuable experience being able to connect with, and Liam attended. That's right. I was so
That's right,
privileged to
Liam
be there
came.
last year, Liam. It's been such a valuable experience to connect with board members across the state and to get to be able to attend professional development sessions. So if anyone is available or interested either for Friday or Saturday or both, connect with Trisha and she can help with registration. In addition, there is a free CABE school finance webinar this September 17th, I think at noon. I'm signed up for it and looking forward to it. It's being hosted, I think, in partnership with the school and
Asbo.
finance project. Lisa Hammersley, I think is one of the presenters, and so I'm sure it's looking at changes in school finance legislation over the last year. So I think it's going to be really informative. And if anyone else wants to listen in, let me know and I can share the registration email. If you don't also have like 15 CABE emails prompting you to register, let me know.
Can I suggest that people should register even if they don't do the 12 o'clock because people are working sometimes and can't? But if you register, you can go back in and watch the recorded version because it's all archived, and they will get credit for attending, even just viewing a recording. So they should do that.
Yeah, that's a really good point that you can register and then watch the webinar later if that's more convenient for you. Yeah, thanks, Meg. And then I also just wanted to wish Angela all the best, and I hope she knows that we're continuing to think about her and hope that she's doing well and taking care of herself. I don't think I have anything else. Happy new school year. I hope it continues to go smoothly without a hitch. Well begun is halfway done. Isn't that what they say? I think we're doing well. We have no executive session tonight. So if there's nothing else, then I would take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Sarah. Is there a second? Seconded by Kim. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye, we are officially adjourned.
Thank you.
Well, have a happy fall. The fog this morning reminded me that it really is September and fall is on the way. The fog was very thick down by the river this morning. It was fun.
No, we saw some of your